Hello and welcome to the next update for Homefront operations, this time for raids. In the last 2 weeks, some significant changes were applied to the sites, which require a different setup now to be completed. In this video, we will go over the new suggested fits and tactics. Also, towards the end, you will find an overview about each faction version of the site and their specialities in terms of damage types and E-War. The objective still is to tackle and kill 3 NPC haulers and move their bulky loot to a transport ship about 60 kilometers away. Your hauler needs 10,500 cubic meters of free cargo space in order to transport all 3 items at once. After completion, the participating pilots will each receive a payout. Best payout is 17.1 million ISK per pilot with a team of 5 participants in the site. In order to tackle all site versions, 2 different setups are suggested. There's the Amarr version of the site called Hall of Sacrifice, which features heavy neuting, and all other factions which do not have any neuting. Let's look at the Amarr setup first. Well, the setup consists of 1 hauler, 2 DPS tackle, 1 shield, and 1 Cap-Logi. All fits presented are linked below the video. Let's start with the hauler. Sweet spot for a shield comp is the Batcher. As with max skills, it can fit all 3 items at once and still be reasonably fast. Mid slots are taking care of tanking resists, speed, and some capacitor buffer. Some more tanking support is in the lows, followed by cargo hold expanders and speed aligned support. The rigs provide some more cargo hold and speed. The fit isn't cap stable, but that is taken care of by the Cap-Logi, as you will see later. Next up, the 2 DPS tackle boats. The choice here is the Caracal. In the high slots, we find heavy assault missile launchers for DPS. Use explosive missiles. The mid slots enable you to tackle the haulers with 2 long points, add the necessary resists, and increase speed to get in range quickly. In the lows, there's more tank and DPS. The rig slots further support the shield resistances. The fit isn't cap stable, but has enough juice for a few micro-warp drive cycles to position and tackle. The next chip is the Osprey. With its 5 remote shield boosters in the highs, it keeps the team alive. Mid slots are taking care of the local tank and add some capacitor buffer. The lows add more cap and some CPU so everything fits. Rigs are adding power grid and more local tank. Now, the fit is heavily unstable in regards to capacitor, but this will be solved by our last team member's cap support chip, another Osprey. With the 2 medium remote caps, it keeps the Shield-Logi-Fit ship charged. The 3 small remote caps are for the hauler and will be run staggered to make sure the hauler never caps out, even under heavy nuke pressure. In the mid slots, we have local resists and cap buffer with E-War resistance to lower the amount this ship is being neuted. Low slots and rigs provide more capacitor recharge rate. Here are some numbers. This boat is locally cap stable with all modules on while being under an effective nuke pressure of about 85 gigajoules a second. The remote transmitters have a combined capacity of 220 gigajoules a second. Now let's run the operation. Before you activate the gate to enter the site, turn on the resistance modules for the logistics ships. Then, activate the gate with the Shield-Logi first and wait 3 seconds before you send in DPS tackle, Cap-Logi, and the hauler. That way, the Shield-Logi vessel will arrive first and immediately start approaching the beacon to break invuln so we can get the initial aggro on this ship. After that, swiftly approach the Hall of Sacrifice structure with your DPS tackle and turn on their micro-warp drive. As soon as the first hauler appears, start locking it with the closer Caracal, overheat and turn on its tackle and approach the NPC hauler. Repeat with the second Caracal, although without heat this time. Don't forget to turn on the weaponry. Now you switch to your Shield-Logi and turn on its local tank. Then switch to your Cap-Logi and start sending the 2 medium cap transfers towards the Shield-Logi. And back to the Shield-Logi, you lock up the team and send 1 remote shield boost to each member. The 5th remote shield boost remains available for whoever gets aggro later during the site. Next, switch over to the Cap-Logi to start stagger the 2 to 3 cap transfers onto the hauler. At this point, the first NPC hauler should be dead and you send your hauler towards the wreck and turn on its MWD. Meanwhile, prepare the tacklers for their next catch and wait for its spawn. Rinse repeat and keep your team alive until 3 NPC haulers died. After picking up all the items, have your hauler burn to the transport about 60 kilometers away and drop the items, which concludes the operation. With average execution, the site can be completed well within 4 minutes time. That was the Amar version of the site, featuring heavy nuding. Now let's have a look at the setup for the other 3 faction versions of the site. This time, we run 1 hauler, 1 Shield-Logi, and 3 DPS tackle boats. Let's start with the hauler again. Still the Batcher, in a slightly different fitting to make it locally cap stable and account for different incoming damage types. In the mid slots, you will find tank, capacitor support and speed. The tank profile on screen is good for the Kildari and Galenti types of the site. If you want to run the Minmatar version, remove the kinetic resists and put in the EM ones from cargo hold instead. In the lows, we add more tank, cap and cargo hold size. The rigs further expand our cargo and add a little bit of speed. Let's move on to the DPS tackle ships, which again are caracals. In the high slots, they still use heavy assault missile launchers for DPS. Choose your damage type according to the faction you're running the operation for. It will either be explosive or EM. The mid slots enable you to tackle the haulers with 2 long points, add necessary resists and speed to get in range quickly. The tank profile on screen is good for the Kildari and Galenti types of the site. If you want to run the Minmatar version, remove the kinetic resist and put in the EM one from cargo hold instead. The lows add more tank, DPS and capacitor recharge rate. More tank support is fitted with the rigs. The fit isn't cap stable either, but has enough juice for a few micro warp drive cycles to position and tackle. Last but not least, our Shield-Logi, the Osprey in a self-sustaining configuration. There are only 3 medium remote shield boosters in the highs, which can run cap stable as long as the local shield booster is off. In the mid slots, we have our local tank and some cap support. The tank profile on screen is good for the Galenti type of the site. If you want to run the Kildari one, replace one of the thermal hardeners with the multi-spectrum one in the cargo hold. For the Minmatar version, install 2 thermal and 1 EM hardener. The lows are making sure the ship is cap stable as long as we do not run local and remote tank at the same time, which is never required anyways, since the site NPCs will only have 1 target at a time. The rigs further support your local tank. Okay, that's the setup for the other 3 variations of the site. Let's talk about differences running them. Start is the same. Turn on resists and local tank on the Logi ship and activate the gate. Wait 3 seconds before you send in your DPS and hauler. Break invuln with your Logi first and have the tacklers do their thing. In the Galenti version of the site, the haulers spawn slightly further away from warp in, so you may not be able to catch the first one consistently. Depending on the faction you run for, you will either encounter jamming or sensor dampening, which essentially disables one of your tacklers, but since you got 3, that shouldn't be of any issue. Your Logi obviously has to relock the team once aggro switches away, and then keep the team member under fire alive. As for the hauler, nothing changes. And that's it. Find your timing and you will run the other types of sites within about 4 to 5 minutes time. Last but not least, here's the overview indicating the major differences between the faction versions of the site. Happy hauling, and thanks for watching.